Today we're making homemade vanilla ice cream. This is something anyone can do in a home kitchen. The process is relatively simple and quick. In fact, the toughest part of the whole thing is waiting for the ice cream to chill. To churn the ice cream, I will be using an attachment for my KitchenAid stand mixer. If that's something you don't have, don't worry about it. Check the description below for some suggestions for other ways to churn your ice cream. Let's get cooking. To make our vanilla ice cream base, we're going to start with sugar, 2/3 of a cup of granulated sugar, which is 133 grams, or if you have it, you can use vanilla sugar. And all vanilla sugar is sugar that has a vanilla bean sitting in it, and it absorbs the flavor of vanilla, and that gives this a little bit more of a vanilla flavor. You can do this with any leftover vanilla bean if you happen to use one. Definitely don't use it once and throw it away. Keep that old vanilla bean and set it in some sugar, and you'll get to exploit its flavor quite a lot longer. All right, so here's our sugar. To that, we're going to add some light corn syrup. All right, we're going to use 42 grams of corn syrup. That is going to be about 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. So add that in with our sugar. Nearly there. And there we go. All right, set the scale aside for a moment. We will also put milk and heavy cream in here. So we're going to use 2 cups of whole milk. To that, we'll add 1 1/4 cup heavy cream. And good thing I have more. All right. There we go. We're going to pour that into the pot. And we are going to turn the stove on to medium, or just a little over medium, and give this a whisk to make sure we don't have a clump of sugar or corn syrup sitting at the bottom. So give this a whisk. Like so. And we are going to let this come up to a boil, and as soon as it reaches a boil, we'll stir it as it goes along. But as soon as it reaches a boil, we're going to turn the heat down a touch to let it keep boiling. We want it a little above a simmer without boiling over. If you have ever had milk boil over on your stove, you know that's something you want to avoid, let alone milk that is sweetened and sticky. So we're going to let that come up to a boil, and in the meantime, we're going to grab our other ingredients. So to this, we will be adding a cornstarch slurry. A slurry is just a mixture of a thickening, like a dry thickening ingredient, like flour or cornstarch, rice flour, etc., and some liquid, and just a small amount of liquid. So we're going to do 4 teaspoons of cornstarch. All right, and to that we're going to add just a little bit more milk, maybe a couple of tablespoons or so. All right. Enough to get that mixed in, so we're going to mix that together. All right, and this will be added after our milk mixture boils. So we'll come back to that and give it another stir right before. The only other thing our ice cream is going to require will be some cream cheese, and this is the emulsifier for the ice cream. So instead of using egg, for example, this cream cheese has got a lighter, it'll give our ice cream a lighter mouthfeel without having it still be icy. So somewhere between the custard style ice cream and Philadelphia style. All right, so we're going to take, this is another 42 grams or 3 tablespoons of cream cheese, and we are going to just put this in the bowl where the milk was. We're going to give it a little sprinkle of salt just to temper the sweetness of the ice cream, and that's already been out on the counter softening a little bit, but when the ice cream base is closer to ready, this is the last thing that gets mixed in, I'll go ahead and give that a little whisk. It's been, I'd say, 6 or 7 minutes, and our milk is just starting to come to a boil. You may be able to see some little bubbles forming around the edges. We're going to keep stirring that, and very, very quickly, it gets from almost boiling to really boiling. So you have to be right there when that happens. And we're going to keep stirring. I've turned the heat down a touch. We're going to keep stirring this frequently and let this boil, a low boil, a little above a simmer, but not a raging boil, for 3 minutes. Now that our ice cream mixture has boiled for 3 minutes, we are going to add that cornstarch slurry. I gave it another little stir. We're going to add that in. Whisk and let this boil for 1 more minute, and then we will turn the heat off and be adding it to our cream cheese. Our ice cream base has boiled for that additional minute. We're going to turn that off, give it a little whisk, and now we're going to add just a little bit at a time to our salted cream cheese. I've whisked that a little bit too. So we'll pour a little bit in. Whisk, kind of like that same slurry idea. We're going to mix this way. We'll wind up thoroughly mixing in the cream cheese with the hot ice cream base mixture, and we won't wind up with little bits of cream cheese floating around. So we have mixed our ice cream base in with our cream cheese. It's all thoroughly incorporated. It's still quite warm, so we're going to let that cool on the kitchen counter for a little bit. And then there's one last thing we'll do, which is that we're going to add just a half a teaspoon or so of vanilla extract. We just want to wait until this cools all the way down so that that vanilla extract doesn't steam away. And once that's done, we're going to put this in the refrigerator until it is thoroughly chilled. You can't cheat on that. We don't want to stick it in the freezer. That's not going to work. We still need to churn it, but it has to be thoroughly chilled before we can get to our churning. Our ice cream base has chilled overnight in the refrigerator. It's nice and cold and ready to churn. I'm going to use my KitchenAid stand mixer, not a sponsor, and the ice cream bowl attachment that I have for it. We'll just pop this piece on, put the bowl, there we go, on the base here, and we're going to put this in, and we're going to go ahead and start churning before we pour the ice cream in. So I'll just tell you, we're going to pour this ice cream base in and let this churn go for, typically it takes about 24 minutes for that to be finished churning. It makes an awful racket, so I usually clear out of the kitchen while it's happening and come back and check at the end, so I'll show you that bit. Our ice cream is done churning. Oh, there we go. Always gets a little stuck. So you can kind of see how that looks. It's nice and thick. It has started to cling a little bit to the sides of the bowl, which is a sign that you're not going to get any more air churned into that. It's pretty much done. All right, so This gets a little bit messy, but we're going to get the ice cream off of the dasher. You see it's nice and thick. All right. And then we are going to get it into some containers. Right now it's the consistency of soft serve. If you like your ice cream soft serve, it is ready to eat. We let it freeze until it's more of a hard scoop texture, and so I'm going to be putting this into the freezer. I get really fancy and use just some recycled yogurt containers, sticking with the dairy theme, or some nice Irish butter containers. You can use whatever will work for you. This stuff doesn't stay in our freezer for long. We've got our ice cream scooped into these containers. You always want to leave a little extra room at the top because it will expand a bit once it's in the freezer and freezes solid. So I have my overflow container here with the bit that I wisely decided not to try and squeeze in here. We're going to put that in the freezer and let it firm up a little bit more. Anywhere from an hour to 2 or 3 more hours will do the trick, and we will serve that up. Our ice cream has firmed up in the freezer. All that's left to do is to scoop it out and take a taste. We'll put a 3rd scoop in, just for luck. There we go. And of course, homemade vanilla ice cream is terrific on its own, but we're going to gild the lily just a little bit and add some chocolate sauce and a raspberry for garnish. All right, let's try this out. Perfect. I hope you get a chance to try this out for yourself. You won't regret it. And check back every Friday for a new video. Thanks for joining.